Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Loki. This is chapter 13, part 1. When Alida awoke, she saw him hiding beneath a pink parasol. Stretching a little, she said, smiling, "Good morning. It is good afternoon for now," said Loki. "What was the pink? What's the word? Umbrella," asked Alida. She had seen them before in the circus. "The sun is bothersome, so this keeps me cool," said Loki. "Thank you for saving me," said Alida, coming to sit behind Loki beneath the parasol. And she was quiet for a while until she rested her head on his shoulder and then gave a deep sigh. She eventually asked, "What happened after I got shot?" "I don't know," said Loki, shrugging his shoulder. "You just don't want to tell me that you killed them all over little me," said Alida, smiling. "Would it please you, Your Highness, if I blooded the streets for your sake?" asked Loki sarcastically. "It is not as if I would desire for you to pile up corpses before me, it is just," started saying Alida. Interrupting her, Loki said, "Don't get any funny ideas in your head again." He was about to state his reasons but chose not to elaborate, and Alida too was silent, and indeed she was getting all sorts of funny ideas in her head. Again she repeated, "So what did happen?" "I don't know," said Loki. "And the temple and the creature inside of it," asked Alida. "It is still there. As for the temple, it is buried underground," said Loki. "Any balance?" asked Alida. "Who?" asked Loki. "The leader of the heat priest, the one leading the ceremony," insisted Alida. "Oh, he's also underground with the temple," said Loki. "I see. So what you're saying is that the dirt was caved in or something, and the entire place is buried underground," said Alida. "That is one way to put it," said Loki. "It is really annoying to try to have a straight conversation with you," said Alida, frustrated. "I see no benefit in it, and never mind," said Loki, once again stopping himself. Close to those, the man Loki had met and he came to him, and since Loki was starting to recognize his newly acquired burden, he started as thus. "My name is Loki the Gimmick Maid, and to humans I am known as the Blue Knight, though the fishermen call me the Giving Fish. Forgive me for not offering proper introductions. My name is Sir..." Started saying Sir Tildas, "I know," said Loki, interrupting the light. And he added, "You are very lucky to be alive." "I know," said Tildas, remembering the incident with the sleeper. "I'm not referring to the creature. Rather, if it was up to anyone else in my family, you would be 6 feet under," explained Loki. "I am not proud of who or what I am, and I thought that I would find redemption working for benevolence, and he promised that my sins will be washed away by the blood of the pure," said Tildas, struggling, and he added, "It all sounds like nonsense now that I think about it. If you sin it as mankind, those sins can only be forgiven by mankind, and like to each their own. And you cannot have someone else forgive you for something you did to another. And the person that has the duty to forgive you is your victim and no one else," said Loki sternly. "Ever the philosopher," scoffed Alida. "Whatever, dude," said Loki, frowning. "And the point of the matter is that you are humbling yourself because you think I can solve your little problem. So stop wasting our both our time and get on with it. What is it that you want?" And I did according to herself, and she moved back the base, and it was the first time she had ever heard Loki be direct. And he was enjoying giving people the roundabout as he pretended to know or not understand what they were asking. And there was a tense silence, only disturbed by the sound of falling rain, and the storm picked up a bit more strength till it felt like waterfall was falling on Loki's vicinity. "Time, bro?"
19 minutes.
Keenly aware of the rain, Tildas shivered inside his travel coat, and in the end he said, "The guards in the borders only allow the children to enter, and their parents in a party are rather best because they will not be allowed to enter, little Sophia."
But yeah, the battle is in red, so...
"Ah! And your point is," said Loki, not changing his tone. "Doesn't it seem rather bizarre? Surely there is mischief afoot, and this is not a common practice in certain hosts," explained Tildas. "I am sure they must be eating them by now," joked Loki. "That isn't funny," hissed Alida. Loki gave Alida a sardonic smile to elucidate his amusement, and the smile changed into a grimace, and when he was forced again to engage Tildas, he said, "There is no need to concern yourself with the brats. From what I hear, the worst thing they will get is a bath, warm clothing and food, and basic education. All interesting. If they are such humanitarians, why such emphasis on closing the gates?" asked Tildas. His voice rose a little and said, "Wait, you know this will happen, didn't you?" "Well, at this stage I was to lead you to a safe haven before mutually parting us away. I never said that you would be allowed to enter the promised land," said Loki coolly. Alida chose not to comment, and she was vaguely wondering what had occurred during her convalescence, and she was almost about to protest in favor of Tidas when she recognized him as her kidnapper. And soon all her goodwill had vanished, and she got into herself some more as her face and body acquired a more reptilian appearance, and then she entered within the river to swim about for a bit, and while she waited for Loki to dispatch Tidas in whichever way he saw fitting, and Tidas observed Alida's departure with vague amusement, and when he turned to speak with Loki once again, he had lost the train of his argument and was forced to recapitulate once again. And to get him back on track, Loki said, "If you're looking for a hole to take you full, there are plenty, but they will just be what you expect, with the greedy overlords, the serfs fighting over scraps, and all the chaotic mess. And as of now, all of the good hosts and territories are probably closed off to the outside world, or are in the process of securing their borders." "But this makes no sense. Why must things be so?" said Tidas more to himself. "It is because of Mardus. He has closed his heart to the outside world, and now he sees corruption everywhere he looks. And he has built walls around himself and those he cares about because he doesn't want them to be tainted by outsiders, negative thoughts and emotions. And whenever a king starts a new trend, it is common for other folks to emulate. And Bersamet's team was unity and control, while Mardu prefers isolation and freedom. So in a sense, you are free to do whatever you want as long as you do not interfere with his or his people's business." Theodore was quiet for some time, and the late middle-aged man was reevaluating all of his life choices. And when he was younger, he had desired change, and he had left the course because he was tired of all of the rules. And in the end, he had been left one prison and found himself in another. And it seemed to him that he would always be a puppet of sorts. And overcome by fear and shame, he finally left Loki alone. And as soon as he departed, Alida left the riverside. And she slid by, and she rested her snake head on Loki's shoulder. And Loki patted her head and said, "You know, I like you better as a snake than as a human woman." Blushing, Alida said, "Whatever do you mean?" Doesn't it matter now, does it?" said Loki, staring at the river. And he added, "I never asked you whether you get your copper ring." "It was shortly after the Troll Queen tracked me down, and I was minding my own business in a cage, and one of the rats started poking at me, ignoring the obvious, 'Do not poke the snake' sign. And it was then that a strange fellow, clad in black, scared the lad away, and the stranger offered me a copper ring, and I reached for it using my human-like arm, which came out of my side, and it was the first time I was able to make a part of me look more human," said Alida. "And I was more successful in the circus with the snake lady persona, so I kept at it, and I never made it as a creature, and I was certainly not going to bother to turn into a full human woman for the obvious reasons." "Well, you can put on whatever form you find amusing. It matters not to me," said Loki. "Well, I never quite understood why a copper ring," said Alida. "It is not as if you would expect an animal to have a religion of sort, let alone be a worshipper of heap." Loki had his own ideas about it. "Time, bro?"
15 minutos.
But now he started promising enough to voice out, and both became silent as the hours passed, and eventually night came, and Alida settled down to sleep, and the rain had stopped by them, and the coast had the fresh scent of wet grass, and Loki reached into his pocket and took out a watch, and the watch had many hairs, thin cloths, stacked on top of one another around the flat surface, and pressing the buttons on the side, he eventually summoned one that had the picture of a stylized crescent moon with a gem-encrusted music note. And the clock, instead of having a normal dial, it had a tiny scarab ornament, and the spiral towards the center, and it almost reached. Pulling it away, Loki arose and made his way towards the outskirts of Little Sofia. And even in the late night, there was still a small crowd of people pestering the guards, and Loki said to one of the fellows, "Look here, they are not going to let you inside." And the crowd spoke in a turmoil, and Loki then said, "I want to help you guys. I will take you to a new safe haven, one that actually opens its doors." And one of the maidens said, "This is the fifth home we visit, and we find closed doors, and we are tired of wandering around. Either you let us in, or we stay out here and die." Oh, brother, said Loki, and folding his arms, he said, look here. Under the new administrator, the hosts have a lot more autonomy, and your guild license travel permits have lost all of their validity. And with the current state of the world, wherever you go, you will find closed doors for the moment. What I am suggesting is that you find a new settlement, maybe move into one of the many abandoned towns you find along the roadside. I can take you to one just a few nearby that is still more or less in one piece, and it is just a month from Little Sophia, so I suggest you stock up, and when those who want to come are ready, and I will take you there. One of the fellows asked, how much is this going to set us back? Nothing, said Loki, looking for an excuse to head out in the road again. And his time with the giants had made him a bit of a nomad, and his feet would always itch if he spent too much time in a certain location. And then he added, once you're ready, we can head out. And if you do not feel safe with me, you are welcome to stay here and rot. And it matters not to me in the long scheme of things. And after saying this, Loki returned to the riverside, and he found his waiting for him there, in her moss-covered head peering from beneath the waves. And Loki walked a bit of a ways from the tent, and he followed behind. And bubbling coolly, she looked in the direction of the tent. And Loki looked back, and he said, yep, I am still stuck with the snake girl. And I heard that there was a sleeper sighting in the forest. I am glad you made it out alive, said Hirsch. I am as well as anyone can be after such an encounter with a creature such as that, explained Loki. I don't get humans obsessed with digging, and they have more in common with dwarves than they realize, commented Hirsch, and she then handed Loki a letter. I suppose, said Loki coolly. When you're going to help your sister in her little home business, asked Hirsch. I got a little sidetracked, answered Loki. This is more than a little, and why are you bothering with these terrible people, asked Hirsch. I don't know, I just don't know, sighed Loki. You don't have to help them if you don't want to. When helping others becomes an obligation, it inspires negative emotions, which are not good for you, said Hirsch. I really don't want to bother with them, or the city snake lady, said Loki. Just walk away and do whatever you want, insisted Hirsch. We are strong enough to be the masters of our own fate. Do not let weakness scare you into becoming their own personal slave. You certainly do make a convincing argument, my friend, said Loki, smiling. I know, said Hirsch, sinking beneath the shadows, as she saw Alida approaching. Alida had a somber look on her face, and there was a heavy silence brewing between the pair, and Loki was pretending not to notice her, while Alida waited for Loki to speak first. And eventually she gave a hissing sigh, and as she started as thus, I heard everything. I would imagine so, being my shadow and such, said Loki, not turning around. And Alida came to sit before him to speak with him, and looking at him with the same serious tone, she said, why don't you ever look at me when I speak to you? Because I don't feel like it, said Loki, turning his game. So what he meant to say was, because I know it annoys you. I know that you will never love me, and I hate myself for obsessing over you, and I believe it would be best if I never see you again, and thank you for all you have done for me, and goodbye, and fare thee well, said Alida. So that's it then. Don't keep
Sorry,
that.
it was an accident.
It's fine, don't worry about it. Time, bro?
10 minutes battering red.
So that's it then, you're just going to give up, just like that. How disappointed, said Loki, getting out to stare at the river, and a nearby fisherman started loading his net to gape at Alida, and Alida sighed once again and said nothing. And Loki then turned around to stare at her, and for the first time he saw the intensity of his blue eyes, and even though he was looking at her, he was not seeing her. And then in a serious tone, which was so unusual for him, there is something I desire, a future I see clearly, yet I cannot grasp. It is like looking at a figure over the horizon. You see it clearly, yet despite how much you walk, the thing you are staring at doesn't draw nearer. Until I grasp that future, until I become the me that I see myself, then I cannot concern myself with anything else. But you are fine the way you are, said Alida. You never did understand me, did you, Alida, said Loki, turning away. Forget about me, and go on with your life. I don't know if I can bring myself to forget you, said Alida sadly. Forgetting is easy. Just keep yourself busy and find something else to obsess about. Obsess so much about it that you won't have time to bother about the blue carriage driver who drove you all over the continent, said Loki, departing. Alida saw him walk towards the main room, and she followed him with her eyes until he was no longer in sight. And while Loki walked, his form changed, and he eventually even discarded the armor he was fond of. With his gaming staff in hand, he was and he was a steady stride. He made his way toward the nearest crossroad, and just as he was reaching the end of the road, he became aware of a strange creature lurking behind, and turning around, he saw it clearly from the corner of his eye, and he said to him, "Oh, one who seen you had nothing better to do." And the creature said nothing. The noise he made was slow, guttural sounds. No, this is making noise.
Oh.
Time?
8 minutes.
Again he said, "If you are so concerned, then continue as you are now, and do not ask me to do the impossible, or should I say what I like the will to do, and you cannot force something to something they do not desire, and I prefer death over being coerced into becoming someone's slave." And the creature extended his hand like an appendage between his 7 multi-knuckled fingers. There was a clear sphere with a strange aqueous color. And turning around, Loki stood to face the orb with his eyes transfixed, and the creature placed it in Loki's hand. And with his other hand, it closed Loki's hand into a fist, and it shook Loki's hands twice, and it opened what appeared to be its mouth, and in mimicry of a smile, as humans would do in such situations, and then it waved his hand before sinking into the ground. And Loki turned the finely crafted orb with hundreds of tiny runes written in many languages, and eventually he found one that he could read. "Thank you, my friend." And a quaint smile was painted on Loki's lips, and he had finally realized what the creature was and what this parting gift meant. And taking a deep breath, he left little Sophia with a strong, easy step. Time, bro?
7 minutes, red battery.
Alright, let's leave it here. Bye-bye and God bless.